We have wonderful news. The City of Cape Town has approved the Administrative Penalty Exemption for ECD centres in informal settlements and vulnerable communities as identified in the city's approved map. My name is Yusra Ehrenreich and I'm the Advocacy and Social Justice Manager at the Centre for Early Childhood Development. I'm going to explain what an administrative penalty is, what the exemption means, and how an ECD centre principal can determine whether their centre is exempt from the admin penalty. As you might know, if you are operating an ECD centre, you need to register as a partial care facility with the Department of Education in terms of the Children's Act. To register, you need to have certain things in place, including compliances and approvals from local government. In the City of Cape Town, ECD centres must have the necessary land use approval in place, get an approved building plan, get a fire and safety clearance certificate, and a health certificate. If an ECD centre in the City of Cape Town has been operating without the necessary land use approval in place, or if the ECD centre has done certain building work like an extension without having an approved building plan in place, that ECD centre will be required to apply for and pay an administrative penalty. It is essentially a penalty fee or sum of money that must be paid for breaking the City of Cape Town's municipal planning bylaw. And this admin penalty must be paid before the city will give you land use approval to operate your ECD centre or before they will approve a building plan application. This penalty, which in our experience ranges from 500 Rand to 12,000 Rand, often penalises the ECD centres that are attempting to operate legally and get all of the necessary approvals in place, as opposed to those who don't even start the land use application process and so might never have to pay this penalty. This threat of admin penalty not only scares principals off, but many ECD centres in Cape Town are not financially able to pay it, and failure to pay this penalty has serious consequences. We have been engaging with the City of Cape Town and the Mayor's Office around various municipal compliances and approvals that act as barriers to ECD centre registration, including asking the city to remove this requirement to apply for and pay an administrative penalty. In May 2023, the ECD community submitted over 260 comments on the draft administrative penalty exemption released by the City of Cape Town. And we did it! Our voices were heard! The city has approved the exemption for ECD centres in informal settlements and vulnerable communities as identified in the city's approved map. This exemption will impact at least 1,562 centres, over 58,000 young children, and over 7,200 staff members. Let's look at the legal wording of the Administrative Penalty Exemption. Subsections 130, 2 and 3 of the City of Cape Town's Municipal Planning Bylaw, as far as it is required to make an application for an administrative penalty, will not apply to the following categories of structures or land uses which contravene the development management scheme. In other words, there is an administrative penalty exemption for these different categories. An ECD centre falls into category 6 because an ECD centre is considered a place of instruction in terms of the municipal planning bylaw, and category 6 deals with place of instruction. So, if we look at category 6, there is an admin penalty exemption for the land use activities and associated structures, that is buildings, of place of instruction, which is an ECD centre, subject thereto that the property is located or the land use contravention is within a government subsidised housing development or informal township or within the area of the map attached hereto. This means that if your ECD centre is located in either a government subsidised housing development or an informal township, or an approved exempted area indicated in blue on this map, then you do not have to apply for and pay an admin penalty related to illegal land use or illegal building work in relation to your ECD centre. So, ECD centres in these areas can start the required land use approval application process and building plan application process without the fear of being charged this penalty from the City of Cape Town. We worked with the City of Cape Town to develop a map of vulnerable or poor areas in the City of Cape Town based on the median monthly household income per suburb from the most recent South Africa census data, as well as data on the City of Cape Town's own social vulnerability index per subplace, which looks at the degree to which households are socially vulnerable, live in vulnerable conditions, and have limited personal mobility. Using all this data, the city was able to indicate which suburbs and subplaces in the City of Cape Town municipality could reliably be categorized as vulnerable. These areas are indicated as blue on the city's approved map. In order to determine whether the Administrative Penalty Exemption applies to your ECD centre, you need to view the city's map, which is online. You first start by going to your browser. You would insert the website address citymaps.capetown.gov.za/EGIS viewer/, and this would take you to the City of Cape Town map viewer. When the web page loads, you will see a disclaimer pops up, which you would read through. You click on I agree to the above terms and conditions, and then you click OK. Here is the map of the City of Cape Town, which you can move around. On the right-hand side, you have some about information with further links to other City of Cape Town guides. On the left-hand side, you have a number of layers that you can click on that overlay additional information onto the map. What we want to do is unclick all the blue ticks, but we want to leave the spatial planning box ticked. Next to it, you have a little grey triangle, and you click that to drop down the additional options. Here, you want to select planning and drop that down as well. You will see further information pops up. You should unclick all of these, but you want to click on Administrative Penalty Exempted Area. You will see that it overlays all the exempted areas in the City of Cape Town for admin penalties with a blue and white stripe pattern. Then, what you need to do is go to the little box at the top left corner and type in your address. Let's just say it's 242 Klipfontein Road, Crossroads. Then you would click on the drop down that comes up. And here you'll see that this address is inside an exempted area of blue and white stripes. When you zoom out, you can see where it is. If you typed in an address that is not in an exempted area, when your little pin lands and you zoom out, you will see it's not inside an exempted area. So this is how you find out whether your ECD centre is in an area exempt from admin penalties, which means you will no longer have to pay a penalty before getting your land use approval or building plan approval in place. If your ECD centre is not in an exempted area and you have been operating without the necessary land use approval in place, or you have done building work without having an approved building plan in place, you will still need to apply for an admin penalty before you can get your land use approval in place. We have co-developed a motivation template together with the City of Cape Town, which you can use when you submit your admin penalty application together with the other required supporting documents. This template will help you give some of the relevant information that city officials look at when they assess your admin penalty application. You can even motivate for a reduced penalty or a penalty of R0. You can find this admin penalty motivation template on the Advocacy and Social Justice Unit's webpage on our website at www.cecd.org.za.